All right.
Hello and good
Hi,
evening, everybody. How are you guys
Yep.
doing?
good evening.
Good evening.
Well, I know
Okay. Let's.
we are extending the MCO, so we're going to spend more time at home, and I hope that you spend more time on investors' copy time as well. Well, first
So
of all, I
y'all.
want to thank
Yep.
Joshua Lim from Salutica
Yep.
Berhad for joining us today, and
Mhm.
we hope we can share us some insights on the Bluetooth technology and also the semicon industry, right? Amidst the COVID or the lockdown. All right, but before that, guys, please take note that the content of a discussion today does not constitute any investment advice. Okay, it is for educational and informational purposes only. Please seek the advice of a qualified investment professional should you wish to purchase any shares, investment products, or services. All right. So if you guys are okay with this, then we can continue. If you are not okay, then you probably have to go to another channel. Okay.
Our standard
Well,
shield.
first of
All
all,
right.
those who are still new with us, we have this copy time every night at 8 p.m. and we'll have different contents. We try to bring, the captains of the industry, people like Joshua Lim here, who is the CEO of Salutica Berhad. And we have a lot of contents. We bring special guest people in the industry as well to share with us their insights about the market, right? And if you have not gotten our free access to our equities tracker platform, which is going to be free until the 30th of April, now we haven't decided yet whether we're going to extend this as well, considering that the MCO is extending. But that one you have to ask Alvin, right? I think if you can bring 1,000 people here, confirm it's going to be extended, lah. Okay, so if you want to get a free access to our equity tracker platform to get insights, to get data for all the companies in Bursa Malaysia, listed in Bursa Malaysia, please do WhatsApp us at 603-8408-2070. All right, and apart from that, we are also having our equity tracker charity drive, where you are able to contribute to society. Currently, we have heard news about people not having enough or can't bring food on the table, so we want to help these kind of people. And by doing so, we are going to provide a free education on investment. Okay, this is where you can learn actually about value investing and also price chart analysis. Right, this is a skill that you can actually acquire, and all you need to do is to pledge 100 ringgit donation to any charity. All right, we do not collect any funds. We are not a charity organization. So all you need to do is donate to a charity organization, keep the receipt, and then just go to charity.equitystriker.com, and from there you just have to fill up the form, and then we were able to bring you into our uh, online campus. Right, that's where you get videos about learning how to invest, and also we will have a mentorship session as well. All right, once a week, Alvin and myself will be at the ET online campus to actually share or to actually mentor you guys, or if you have any questions you can ask. So it's not just contents, it's not just video, where you also have actually a mentorship going on a weekly basis. All right. So do join us. Just go to charity.equitystriker. Okay, one last thing. Since for those who have just joined us, your early bird, I have a question for you guys, right? Okay, this has to be taken lightly, lah. It's supposed to be a joke, but you know what? Um, the question to you is this: if those who can answer quite closely to the answer that I wanted, then we're gonna give you a free T-shirt, right? A free striker T-shirt, but we can only deliver to you after the MCO, lah. Right? And if you don't want to have postage, you have to come to our office. Then you can meet us as well. Okay, so the question is this: so the first one who answer the correct one or nearest to the correct one, then we will give you a T-shirt. Then we will get in touch with you later on. Right. So the question is, why was the stock trader electrocuted? Okay. A little bit likely. Right? Don't sweat on it. Just for fun, right?
Are we included, Danny?
Yeah.
Danny, are we included in it?
You alone lah. You already got T-shirt, what? Yeah. Maybe Joshua can guess lah. Joshua.
Something to do with TNB?
But Malaysian market, you can't do that lah. All right, so guys, just put your answer. If you get the correct answer or nearest to the correct one, the first one, we will send you the T-shirt. All right. So please do share and tag your friends for today's session, because today we have a special guest. Very hard to actually get a CEO to come with us into talks like this. This is where you can actually ask him questions. You can actually interact with him. So if you have any questions for Joshua, please do just type in the questions, and then we will pick it up from there, and we'll ask Joshua. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Alvin, I'll pass this to you first.
Okay. So good evening, everybody. So Faiz, if you don't mind, can you share my screen? I'm just going to do a very quick brief about the financial numbers for Salutica. Of course, all this information, you can get it free until April 30th. You can access Equities Tracker absolutely free. All you have to do is send us a WhatsApp 603-840-82070. All right. So Faiz, if you can just I haven't shared my screen. I have shared my screen, right? Can you see? I've shared. Okay. Let me see if you guys can see this. Can you guys see? Okay. Yes. Okay. So yeah. So very quickly, I'm going to go through the financials just to give you an idea. So they score an 81.25 so far. They were listed since 2016. So we have on record 4 years of financial numbers here. If you look at, maybe these are just some numbers for you guys. Look, this is the last 4 years. As you can see, yes, revenue has been in decline, and maybe that's something that we could also ask Joshua about as well. But even though revenue and profits have been declined, they have been consistently paying dividends for the last 4 years, okay, continuously. They also have positive operating cash flow for the last 4 years. And 2 out of 4 years, I believe this was because of capex investment. And I guess that's why they need to IPO, is because they need to invest the money. So they had 2 out of 4 years on record here that have free cash flow. Okay. Salutica is quite an interesting company. They have, as of last financial year, they have about 81 million in cash and very little short-term loan and long-term liabilities. So they are in what we call a net cash position, right? So I think for those of you who have been following us on Copy Time, you remember the net cash position. Companies in net cash have a much higher probability of surviving, right? Upcoming recessions like what we are in, okay? And they are actually a net cash and very low gearing company, all right? That's it for me. Then I'm going to pass it on to right? Benny.
Yeah. Maybe I can talk a bit about Salutica.
Yeah.
For investors who have not known about Salutica, they are mainly what we call is the EMS companies, means electronic manufacturing services. This company actually they build products for MNCs, multinationals. But one thing special about Salutica is they do have the advantage in terms of they are really the expert in Bluetooth technologies. So anything with Bluetooth technology, these are the industry leader. And it's very rare for Malaysia to have a company that has a leading advantage in the global technology. And Salutica is one of it. And their key strength is actually in the Bluetooth technology. So I think I'll leave it to Joshua to actually explain more about what is Salutica. Over to you, Joshua.
Okay, sure. Thank you, guys. And anyway, thank you for inviting me to the show. So I think maybe just try to give a brief roundup about what we do. Of course, generally, yes, we are the main business is we are in the electronics manufacturing. Yeah. So in the sense that we are, of course, focused on small form factor manufacturing, and I think what puts us apart is actually because we also have our own R&D team of about 50 technical staff, I mean engineers and all in my R&D department doing development works together with our customers. So the history with the Bluetooth is that I think the company has quite a long history. Started way back since 1999, and in fact we made one of the earliest Bluetooth headset for Ericsson at that time. So the team, and in fact a lot of our employees have been with the company for easily 10 to 15 years, and some even 20 years. So there's a lot of knowledge gain and technology transfer from the early years of building Bluetooth devices with companies like Ericsson and later Sony Ericsson times. So I think that's where we have built up our forte in small form factor Bluetooth devices, which we actually adapted even to our own brand Fobo products as well, for where we have Bluetooth, the sensors for tire pressure monitoring system. So, but I think what I also try to probably explain to shareholders, stakeholders, is that sometimes the Bluetooth sort of blankets off what the true capability as well. I mean, the other capabilities of the company, because basically we are also a fully integrated manufacturer in Malaysia. So basically, sometimes we even tell the customer it's basically a cradle to grave kind of solution that we provide, literally from product concept, design, development, to the manufacturing, and then we control the entire supply chain for you. So we deal with hundreds of suppliers across the globe. So we are also providing a one-stop vertically integrated electronics manufacturing. So which is why our model with our customers range quite wide. You have customers where we do design and we manufacture for you. There are customers that have they have a partial design. We provide support like mechanical design, process development, materials and component sourcing. And then of course there are also customers that they already have a design that requires you to probably do some DFM, and some prototype build and develop the process. So we come in at quite different stages in the product life cycle. So depending how it suits the customers, because some customers have their own technical team, some customers don't have their own technical team. So whatever works with us, we are very happy to do that with our customer. But I think especially as a Malaysian company and moving forward from manufacturing, I mean, not to say leave manufacturing, but the next step, to move on from where we are, is that in order to continue to be innovative, I mean, to be competitive, we have to be innovative. So innovation and technology is a key driver in our business, which is why since the IPO, even as recently as right before the MCO came in, we were investing in new technologies, new machine, new process. We even redo our whole acoustic lab, because now, especially for Bluetooth headset, it's no longer a case of just a headset to listen to music or watch videos, but headsets have evolved to what we are terming it as hearables, not just truly wireless headsets, but hearables where you have a lot more functions than just providing a user with the use of to listen to music or listen to a phone call. Some of it can even come in the form of providing hearing assist, to the user as well. So with the way the roadmap of Bluetooth headset is going to, where now everyone is looking in the concept of hearables, the continuous drive for innovation and technology internally is also critical for us, which is why a lot of times I do try to explain as much as I can to shareholders and to investors, that there are times that we need to make certain investment in technology or in innovation, which I believe that it is the core for the sustainability of the business in the long run, because especially when you're a relatively smaller company compared to a lot of EMS players around the globe, you cannot go into a price war with competitors, So you have to find that extra edge, which is, I think, over the years of us doing business, the edge is basically you have to keep yourself innovating, in order to sustain the business. Yeah.
Joshua, if you don't mind me asking, do you have any slides you want to share with us so that we have a
Oh,
better
sure.
visual of what you do?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sure. Actually, I've shared the slide already. Maybe Faiz can bring it up.
Faiz, can you help us?
I'm not sure how. Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Right.
So I'll just probably run through the slide quickly. Actually, I've said quite a lot in what's in the slide, and I think I actually forgotten about the slide. So
No
yeah.
worries, no
So
worries.
so we are just a single factory in Ipoh. About 300,000 square feet. We have about 1,000 employees. I think the advantage of us is that we are also a licensed manufacturing warehouse, an LMW license, so which allows us to basically import a lot of our materials for our production tax-free, because basically almost 95% of our business is pure exports. So what is our core business is basically, as I mentioned earlier, I think the complete product is the end goal of whatever we do in the company. But we have a lot of heritage in plastics. In fact, the business started out many years ago in plastics. So plastics has always been our forte. And we focus on very high precision plastics, for consumer electronics, and also at the same time with complete turnkey electronics, and also then our own brand Fobo, because we find that we have a lot of common processes, which allow us to leverage on these skill sets, to basically develop products for our own brand. Yeah. So basically, I think what I did a summary earlier, we also have basically in-house product design, So we do concept, we have mechanical, we have firmware, we even do basically test development, where we actually develop the whole testing process. We built a lot of our testers in-house, so very critical tests process are all built in-house by our own test engineers. Yeah. And a lot of the electronics, you have a lot of tests for especially for headsets, you have acoustic testing, you have Bluetooth, you have RF testing, So the part on the right side, you can see some of the testers, because these are built in-house, so it's not the prettiest looking one. Yeah. And then we have also just recently completed building up, rebuilding a complete new acoustic test lab, because where hearables are going, acoustic testing becomes very critical, especially now you're talking about active noise cancellation in your products and things like that. So this is actually one of the most recent investment that we have done. In fact, the room was just completed around February, right before the MCO. Then, as any plastic manufacturer, we all have our in-house, for tool design, fabrication. We use a lot of European machine for that. We even have very high precision machines. So a lot of the processes you're talking about ±5 microns accuracy, along that. Yeah, and of course with a quite I wouldn't say a very huge molding area, but I think we have about 50 molding machines, but a lot of it are all on the smaller tonnage side. So we are looking at, between 80 tons to 180 tons, So, but because we do a lot of thin wall molding, as well as single shots and double shots plastics. Yeah. We even have our own paint line, a fully automated spray painting line. So one of the also one of the historic things that stayed on with the company is because we used to do a lot of plastic mobile phone casing, in the past for European brand, and then so basically it means that we have to be very good at high cosmetic finishing. So which is why we have our own fully automatic spray paint booth, which is a class 10K spray line. Yeah. And of course, then when you go on to the basically the electronics part, we have our own SMT line as well, you know. So with our SMT line, you're talking about a very, very small component. You can pick and place very small components, 0105 size, micro BGAs, you know. And we actually use very, very, I would say, high-end machines. We use like ASM, you know, which used to be known as Siemens for our pick and place for SMT. And all our lines, in fact, as of end of last year, we have fully basically upgraded all our automatic inspection machine, our AOI machine, to a full 3D AOI. Yeah. So that's where we have done quite a bit of investment, in fact, last year. Even like our simple process like depaneling of the PCBA, we have laser routers, you know. So and of course we have final assembly, you know. So that's where all this thing comes into place. Your plastics, your SMT processes after the painting of the plastic parts. So you basically get it all assembled, you know, in a general assembly area. And of course, being a supplier to a lot of multinational brands, of course, we need to always have, you know, international standards for quality assurance, you know. So that is a minimum, you know, when you're expected to supply to any multinational brands, you know. Especially, I think what I think is that we have also compliant with basically the RBA standard. So it's called the Responsible Business Alliance. It used to be known as the EICC. So it's basically like a, you know, a human rights, environmental code of practice, you know, for tier one manufacturers for a lot of multinational brands. So we also get audited, you know, every year, you know, by the customer for all this kind of brand, you know. So and last but not least, I'm just trying to maybe give like a quick summary of technology upgrade that we've basically done, you know, from starting since last year to this year, you know. So we have added a new SMT line, very high capability for ultra fine pitch BGA. We have upgraded all our existing automated optical inspection machine, full 3D AOI, you know. And we also added another laser depaneling machine. We have included full RF simulation, you know, for antenna and RF performance software in our R&D team. This has actually helped a lot in terms of design, because simulation software actually nowadays help a lot to improve the design cycle time, so that you are able to basically tweak the design as much as possible before doing even a prototype, you know. Then of course the acoustic lab that I mentioned earlier, and of course we are now looking at a fully automated tester. You know, I think as our products, especially for the hearable products, things are getting much more finer, smaller, you know. So the next stage is basically to reduce the human touch, you know, on the product before it gets assembled. And last but not least, actually, before the MCO, we were actually having some collaboration with MIMOS, you know, as part of the Industry 4.0 pilot program. So they were actually creating some dashboard and data analysis in terms of basically to use AI to look into our test data, you know. So, and I think it's just, maybe I'm just giving some pictures, you know, quite recent pictures of the SMT upgrade, our new line. This is the 5th SMT line that we have, you know, and as well our upgraded optical inspection machine. Yeah, our RF simulation software, where you use to simulate RF for multiple products. I mean, and not just Bluetooth, any wireless products, you know, and as well as our full acoustic lab as well, you know. And last but not least, also the part of the pilot program that we were doing with MIMOS before the MCU, to basically create a platform then using AI in terms of looking into our test data to help us find, you know, correlation between different kind of failures, you know, that you get on your test data. So I think I'm just trying to keep as brief as possible. So I think that's sort of the end of the slide.
Sure. There's a question from the audience, which is of course one of the key things that
Okay.
a lot of people are worried about now.
Yep.
What are the impacts of the MCO on EMS like yourself at this moment?
Okay. Let's. I think the first one about the impact about the MCO. Of course, the initial part where the MCO came in on the 18th of March, we haven't yet gotten the approval to operate. So therefore, we could not operate until we got the approval only on the 5th of April. So what happens was, of course, there was a slight loss in production, you know. And then, of course, with the approvals after that, we are only allowed to have a partial run of critical models or products in the factory. So I think what happens right now is, of course, with the limited number of employees that are allowed to go back to the factory, we are basically prioritizing employees that are meant for mass production. So the rest of the employees, as much as possible, are working from home. So this is still possible because we have a lot of our key account managers, our supply chain people, So these are works that can be done at home. We also have our R&D engineers who can still continue their design work at home. So in that sense, there is an impact due to the MCO. But right now, with the after given the approval for a limited run, we are trying to basically catch up with whatever loss in time that we have encountered. And basically, in fact, I think it's also a time where you are now trying to make more with less, So it's actually a very testing times for actually my people back at the factory, because now you in fact you have fewer workers than you have to run production, and yet you're trying to meet as much output as you can with a full that you would have done it with a full team, So yeah, sorry.
From what you're saying, it seems like the demand from our clients are still very good. There's a common view out there saying that the demand for electronics and semiconductors is under threat, even if after this COVID issue is resolved, that will take a long time before the demand will come back. But from what you're saying just now, it doesn't seem to be the case. So can you share with us your view on this?
I think in this case is because I think electronics industry is a very wide industry. Electronics basically range from hearables to mouse, to fingerprint scanners to even your air condition remote control. So I think maybe we are more on the fortunate side that but I wouldn't say very fortunate, because I think there are products where there are increase in volume or increase in demand from the customers. There are products where there are no change in demand from the customers. And we also have products where the mass production has been also, the demand has dropped. So we actually experience almost all three different kind of reaction, to the demand. So I wouldn't say that it's it's a drop across the board, So I think what we are doing now is, of course, depending on which product where the demand has increased, of course, we try to focus our limited resources to meet the demand for those products, So I think it's quite a difficult juggling, balancing game that we have right now. Yeah.
We're just curious, amid this global lockdown, right? What are the products that are still having increase in demand at this moment?
One of our products that we make, is a computer peripheral. So it's a mouse, yeah. So that one actually has an increase in the demand during during this whole COVID-19 situation. And I wouldn't see it as surprising, because the fact that there is more and more activities, gathered around to, one is to contain the epidemic, you have more centers, more quarantine areas being open, therefore you definitely need more computers. And also at the same time, you have more people working from home, So that has sort of saw a demand for that particular product, So which is to me, at first I didn't thought that it would be that much of a demand, but truth be told, with the whole COVID-19 thing, that is the one of the product that is increasing in demand. Yeah.
I think Alvin also have a few questions. Yeah. Alvin?
Bluetooth wireless mouse, is it? Just curious.
Yeah, it's a Bluetooth wireless mouse. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter, you said.
Yeah. I said on your side you have a few questions, right, Alvin?
Yes. So I have one question here from YouTube. This is from Utien Kumar. Would you be able to give us an idea on is there a backlog in some of the orders because of the MCO? Like, you guys have orders, but is there a longer delivery time that you're expecting because of now extended MCO? And do you have any? Would you be able to talk about maybe order books?
Okay, I think maybe that's why our industry is also quite different from other industry. We work on a forecast, So basically, our customers give us between 6 months, roughly usually a 6 months forecast of what they expect production, what they expect to be delivered over the next 6 months. But this is a rolling forecast. So basically, the forecast gets updated on a weekly basis. So technically the forecast can change. This week it can go up, next week what you expect it. Let's say for example 3 months down the road, you can see it going up and down, up and down. So of course, when you are always continuously engaging your customer almost practically on the daily basis, so obviously when the MCO happened, of course you give an update to the customer, and then basically everyone will work around how to adjust the forecast to meet whatever that we can supply for the time being. So I wouldn't say that that there is a backlog, but of course there is a loss in opportunity. So if let's say you're not able to operate for that 1 week, you are not able to then deliver whatever that you are expected to deliver for that 1 week. But so I think it's quite different. So it's not like an order book where okay, you have to deliver 500,000 units, and then they basically count out of the 500,000 how many can you deliver. Whereas you get a rolling forecast that keeps on adding on and adding on from there.
Okay. So which means that the orders are, would you say they come in sort of weekly and then with a forecast?
Correct. Correct. So and because it's a rolling forecast, so what you see 6 months, next week you'll see the 6 months plus 1 week, and whatever in between will also be adjusting at the same time. So it's a very live forecast that gets updated every week. So and the same thing also, then we will also give similar forecasts to our suppliers as well. So and to me this is quite common in our electronics industry. So basically you have forecasts from your customer, you have forecasts to your suppliers, and then when forecasts change, everyone basically there's a pulling and pushing of materials and inventories, from the across the entire supply chain, so which is why I think sometimes it is depending on the length of your supply chain. The longer the supply chain you have, of course, the harder is it to pull and push here and there. But I think sometimes, fortunately, we have all the critical process in-house, your SMT, your molding, your painting, so these are something that we can sort of control on within ourselves. Whereas it would have been quite different if I were to buy plastics from people or buy PCBA from people.
If I continue on this, right? From the time of the order to the time of delivery, how long does it take for your side?
Okay, actually, so what happens is here I'm just giving an how it works. Let's say today I see a forecast out of the 6 months forecast. So let's say in the month of June, okay, I see that okay, I have to deliver 10,000 pieces on the first week of June. Okay, so basically I will be arranging all my materials and everything to probably arrive maybe about a week or two before the first week of June, because my the internal time for the factory to basically convert raw materials and components into the finished product, sometimes takes between 1 or 2 weeks. So that's where you want to make sure that the week that you have to deliver that number, your materials come in 1 or 2 weeks before that, and you basically plan that week by week, because basically you have a lot of all this JIT, lean manufacturing, because at the same time you also have to keep inventory low in your factory as well, as part of financial prudence. So that is how the orders sort of get delivered week by week.
I'll come back to this lean manufacturing question later. I think now Benny has a question for you.
Yeah.
Benny?
There's actually a question from one of the audience from Elgen, because he mentioned here that Salutica has posted some losses, especially in the first quarter of 2019. He just basically want to know what actually happened in 2019.
First quarter of 2019, you're talking about fiscal quarter or calendar quarter?
Calendar quarter up to now.
Sorry?
To now, calendar quarter.
The first quarter.
2019, what? Last year?
It should be their fiscal quarter. Should be your fiscal quarter.
Yeah, 2020.
Your financial year.
So my 2020 first fiscal quarter for 2020?
Yeah, 2020.
Yes.
No, because the question is basically because we have seen quite a bit. The growth is there in the first. I mean in 16, 2017, 2018, but we see
and then you see a drop there. So maybe more in terms of for the entire period, because I think what happens is, of course, the business for 2016 or 17 or 18, that time, the wired, the Bluetooth, the Bluetooth headset business, of course, that was a time that we have quite an edge with a lot from compared to other competitors, But as the industry and technology moves on, of course, more and more competitors are chasing at the same time. So basically you start to see there is the industry becomes a very crowded industry with a lot of competitors. But I think fortunately what we are doing, in fact, we are in the midst of been doing it for the past 2 years, is that we started to focus on the truly wireless headsets. So just to give you an example, like this one, the one that I'm wearing here, is called a wired Bluetooth headset because there is a wire between the two earbuds, and then when you have truly wireless headsets, you have basically two earbuds that are not connected to each other. So it's like the AirPods, So what happened is you have the wired Bluetooth headsets, getting to become a very crowded space, and then basically you have competitors from China that could basically come in at very, very low prices, So I think what we did, of course, I think in that sense, we sort of lost out a bit during that period. But at the same time, while that was happening, underneath it, we were developing truly wireless headset products, So which is why, but the problem is that when we went into a completely new product segment, the challenges to produce truly wireless headset is a totally different level compared to wired Bluetooth headsets. So which is why the development time took longer than expected, and the delay of the launch of the product was also longer than expected. So we only finally launched it with our customer, I think roughly in the August of 2019, So because of the delay in the launch of that truly wireless headset product, it sort of create a gap in the revenue for us, and I think that's that sort of explains a lot of that, At the same time, of course, you have, I think during that period in 2019, just let me try to recollect a bit more right now. I think also at that time, I suppose the trade war has also just sort of started, and I think that was, sorry.
Is it possible that it could be due to depreciation and your capex expansion during that period as well? Is that
No, but here you're talking about revenue or
revenue.
Yeah, correct.
The revenue did drop during that period.
Yeah, correct. So I think that was because normally I think you have hero models, I mean, throughout, I mean, this company has been around for 20 over years, you know. So of course there are good years and there are bad years. I mean, when models sell well, launch on time and sell well, that is where you reap the benefit and the revenue comes during that time. But I think during 2019 was when we really got into truly wireless headset, you know. And that was the first time we actually got into a headset with that was in collaboration with a European partner, because that particular headset basically had a very exclusive chipset to it, you know. And in fact, we are still continue working with this European partner, you know, on having certain exclusive access to this chipset. So it was a year where we are trying to do quite a huge difference in terms of the product that we are going to do. But unfortunately, with the push out of that project, we created a revenue gap for that year, hence the lower revenue compared to before. Yeah.
Is it safe to say, if I'm not mistaken, there was this article a few months back that was actually saying that the Bluetooth headset that you produce is even actually better than the AirPods. Was that right?
I mean, it is in a way better in a lot of ways, actually. Of course, I mean, given that this is an investor forum, I try not to go too technical into the details. But I think during that time in 2019, when we launched that product, you know, the ability for that product to connect without master and slave, you know. The difference is during that time, truly wireless products had a big issue because it was in a master and slave mode. One earbud is technically connected to the phone, whereas the other earbuds is not connected to the phone. It's actually getting data from the master earbud, you know, and that causes a lot of RF issue, a lot of skipping issue, a lot of performance issue, a lot of battery issue, you know. So when we managed to work with this European partner to have very exclusive access to a certain chipset, this chipset allowed you know, direct connection with the phone, unlike any other chipset in the market at that time. And in fact, Apple at that time was able to do this is because you can only do this with an Apple phone, but you wouldn't get that same connection with a non-Apple phone, you know. So with that partnership with that European partner, we were having a chipset that could have you know, direct connection with both Apple and non-Apple phones, you know. So that was quite a breakthrough in terms of the connectivity and the RF performance, and as well as the battery life on the product, you know. So and in fact, we are continually working with them, you know, because it's and I think it's quite an interesting transformation to the business right now, because we are having a rather exclusive access to certain chipset, which my competitors do not have, you know. So but of course, what's the potential of this, you know? I mean, it's still quite early because with only the first generation of that product has been launched middle of last year, and then we are looking for the next launch this year. But however, the MCO has, you know, caused a slight delay in some of our development projects, which we are actually now also trying to figure ways to catch up in time. So maybe that also sort of adds a bit more to the answer on the impact of the MCO, you know, because so in terms of product development, there will be a slight delay. But I think what I am blessed with is a very robust team that we have in Salutica, you know. I mean, our guys right now at their own house, you know, they brought back as many things as they can from the factory, you know, to continue doing work from home, you know. So that's where I really right now at this moment right now during the MCO, I actually salute my employees, you know, for an amazing job that they are doing right now at home given the current situation. But I think what the plan right now is, of course, getting everything laid out ready so that the moment once the MCO is lifted, everything hits full speed, you know. So of course there will be a slight delay, but hopefully it's not going to be a significant delay to the products and the development. Yeah.
Joshua, just an idea for our listeners, right? I'm not sure if you're allowed to disclose what you produced it for, but What sort of price range does the end product look like in terms of US dollars?
The price range of the end product is normally in the region of about above $150 USD.
Oh, okay.
You know, so that's the price range of the end product. I mean, but of course, like the computer peripherals would be on a lower price range. You know, but for the headsets, you know, I mean, even in the past when we were doing the Bluetooth wired headsets, you know, these were all easily above 120 USD. So basically, we produce for customers who are in the premium market, you know, with very discerning customers who basically appreciates the difference that they can feel in the performance of the product, you know. So I mean, sometimes also I think a lot of investors, they come and ask me, you know, hey, you know, it's a truly wireless product, you could get one in the market for 200 ringgit, you know. So my response sometimes to this, you know, if Proton sells cars cheaper than Toyota and Mercedes, shouldn't those guys go out of business? You know, so that's, I think, is that there is a market for different price level, different price range, a different kind of performance that the end consumer expect from this kind of product. And I think that's where, when you are, for us, that's why to be in that market, to fight in that market, the need to continuously be innovative and invest in technology is always a key consideration in how we spend our cash and how we move forward as a company. Yeah.
Sure. So this is going to be a little technical. I'm just trying to, because there's two continuous questions on this. One was saying that isn't this due to Bluetooth 5.0, and the other one was saying, DT was saying Sony WF-1000XM3 also has the same capabilities. So can you comment on Bluetooth 5.0?
Okay.
And
okay, yeah, I mean, this one I think is quite simple. So basically, Bluetooth 5, it doesn't change how the master and slave connection. Actually, I do find it to be not a very accurate marketing. A product doesn't become better just because it's using Bluetooth 5.0. If that's the case, you know, I wouldn't need so many engineers. I just buy a Bluetooth 5.0 chip and it does all the magic for me. You know, what happens actually, Bluetooth, you see, when you say about whether it's a Bluetooth 3, Bluetooth 4, Bluetooth 5, it's basically, it's like a language. Bluetooth is like a language. It's how you enable different kind of device produced by different people to have a standard communication protocol. You know, so it's like speaking Japanese. So if a Japanese, in order to speak to a Japanese, I need to speak Japanese so that he understands me. So Bluetooth is like a language. And then of course, as technology progresses, you get development in a language as well. You know, like how an English language, you have more and more words, you know, in the dictionary as time goes by. So you have advancement happening in the language itself, which allows for either greater compatibility in the communication. Okay, now, so, but just having a chip, and by the way, Bluetooth 5, that's a very long article in it. What happens is, what it adds on to in Bluetooth 5 actually deals more with BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy part. That's actually more in Bluetooth 4.2. When you talk about music streaming, it still runs on classic Bluetooth, which is actually Bluetooth 3. You know, so it's just that Bluetooth 5, they just package everything all together into one, like, combined library, and depending on what the application calls for, the product would actually use Bluetooth 3 protocol or the Bluetooth 4 protocol, depending on the application. So just to summarize it, Bluetooth 5 alone does not make a product better. A good performing wireless product depends on antenna design. And that is actually the hardest part in a wireless product, because antenna design, it's so, I would say it's so opposite of what is required. You want to make a product small, but you need to have space for antenna to be good. So to have small product with space inside, that doesn't work. A small product doesn't have space, you know, like a headset, a truly wireless headset inside, the battery is like so big inside, and that is always the biggest hurdle for the antenna to perform well. So actually, what whether a product has good connection to a product is one is the antenna connection. Number two is goes a lot deeper in there is despite using Bluetooth, but it's also the language is how do you connect with the product using the language. I can use Japanese to write a poem, or I can use Japanese to write a joke. It's how you then use the language to enable the communication for it to work without master and slave. I think that's just to try to keep it as simple as possible. And then later on, after we launched our truly wireless product, of course, you have other products talking about, hey, this product also doesn't have master and slave. Then it boils back to the reason for this, it all depends on what is the chip in the headset and what is the chip in the phone. So like the AirPods doesn't have master and slave is because it's an Apple chip in the AirPods and an Apple chip in the iPhone. The same reason if you check out on the Sony truly wireless headset, it's using a CSR chipset. And CSR chip is owned by Qualcomm, and Qualcomm makes Snapdragon chip. So you realize that the Sony will work without master and slave if the phone runs on a Snapdragon chip. The user can try it out, but you may not, but you wouldn't get it if you do it with an iPhone. So there is a lot of, I think the diversity in chipset in the market right now is also quite huge. Yeah.
So Joshua, so you're saying that the headset that you produce for your client is actually not specifically works only with Qualcomm or Apple. I mean, it works across all devices.
So the without master and slave thing, it works across all the chipsets on whatever phone.
I mentioned just, I want to ask you back about the lean production that you mentioned, right? With this COVID case, what is your view about this perspective? Because this COVID really caused a disruption to the supply chain. Will it actually cause the impact of people to relook at lean production? Because when it's lean production, you won't have stocks. So when this kind of event happens,
I suppose at the end of the day, which is why I say I think it all depends on how long is your supply chain. Just a very simple example. There is one chip that we buy that is made in Japan. And when the Wuhan shut down, and then of course I would just assume that hey, it's made in Japan, shouldn't be a problem. But I sort of check it out, make sure we are going through with our supply chain people, making sure which component are affected, which are not, and then just because a chip is made in Japan, its raw material came from China, and China was in a shutdown. So even though the chip is made in Japan, you are not gonna get supply of that chip. So I think at the end of the day, how well you plan. Maybe this is for me now, given that the whole COVID situation, the way I look at it is that if your supply chain is very long, you are buying components from all across the globe, and then when you look down at the next level, let's say look at the chip, but then when you look at the materials to make the chip, where are these guys coming from? So when you go down low enough, any impact to any part of this manufacturing process of that chip is going to impact the production of the chip. And then if the chip supply gets impacted, of course it impacts my production as well. My headset has like 300 components inside. You just need one component that doesn't come on time. That's enough to stop your whole line. So, which is why I think I'm especially now, like nowadays as well, we are very focused in terms of the supply chain. I think especially as a factory, how robust is your supply chain is really will make or break whether are you able to continue on production or not when a situation happens.
So if I ask you this question, right? So would you actually, after this COVID issue, would you really relook at the lean approach? Have a relook at it?
You will always want to have as low of an inventory as possible in a factory, but you at the same time when to take. You have to know there is a risk reward you know, like if there are certain components or certain materials, its value is actually very cheap, and it's okay to buy a bit more of those because it doesn't cost a lot. Then there is prudency to buy more of those and keep, because it wouldn't cost a lot of money to buy ahead certain of those components or materials. But if some component is very, very expensive, like, you know, there are some chips that can made up of, you know, up to, I don't know, about 10-15% of the cost of the product, you know, it's not something that you're going to keep like 6 months worth of stocks. So there is going to be a bit of prudency, intelligence, and experience in supply chain as to what are the components that you can afford to keep a bit more, just in case things happen, and which are some components that you have to be able to manage the forecasting with your customer and your supplier on a much in-depth basis, you know. So it is not just like across the board, lean or no lean, JIT or no JIT, you know. It's not really like one answer fits all, you know. So I don't really have a yes or no answer to that question, actually.
I know Benny and Alvin have got question, but I just want to slip this very important question in, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Kim Yong was asking this very important question. Some of your clients in the healthcare industry, they are also involved in ventilators. So are you somehow also getting some orders from there? No, with all this COVID, no ventilators.
Yeah, I know. Of course, let's put it into perspective. The fact that I'm already on a limited operation, you know, basically, there's actually no addition. I mean, unless I'm a huge multinational company, I have additional manpower to basically try to do things to contribute to the situation right now. But the fact that we are only allowed a partial operation of our factory, you know, and our customers are already facing a shortage in supply, you know, over the past few weeks. You know, in fact, some of our customers can be severely affected because we are the only sole manufacturer for that model of product that we produce for them, you know. So I think in that sense is we have to focus on what we have in front of us right now. Of course, if there is available resources, we would want to contribute to the situation right now. But as it is that we are in this current limited operating situation, we can't even venture beyond what we have on our plate right now, you know. So I think there is a lot of what the heart wants, but what the body can do at the same time, you know. I think there is definitely a slight mismatch in the current situation. But I am very amazed. I'm very impressed with corporations that are able and have the resources to go on and contribute during a pandemic like this, you know. Whereas for me right now, I'm not in a situation where I am able to provide to contribute in that sense. But hopefully that the extra miles we make will be used in the hospitals, and you know, in that sense, there is a slight contribution.
Okay, Joshua. So maybe so some of the questions that we're getting, maybe I'll sort of summarize because they are somewhat alike. So some of the viewers are saying that you know, the presentation focused a lot of your technical expertise, but they want to know, so going forward, what kind of strategy is Salutica going for? Or is it maybe dependent on the brand owner that you guys serve? Like, is it going to be a high end premium kind of segment, or what sort of product mix? Or you know, at the same time, would you be able to give me an idea on product segment, like as in revenue segmentation?
Maybe more in that sense. Okay, maybe just to give you this example, a product can have high margin, but if the volume is too low, you don't make money, you know. So there is a balance between margin and volume, you know. So I think what we do is, I think which is why I think some people do ask, why do we take up the mouse business? You know, it's a lower margin product compared to your other headset products and things like that. But so, which is why I think especially over the last 2-3 years, we have been always struggling in that sense with this two thing: high margin, low volume, or lower margin, high volume. So I think which is why we are trying to blend it in, that I have sufficient model running high volume, that sort of becomes like a base absorption of overhead and things like that, so that even if the high margin product drops in volume, I have something that is stable and is consistent all year round to help with the absorption of costs and overhead. So I think that is what we are trying to do with our business. So and hopefully, I think that is, we're actually in the midst of doing that. So which is why the truly wireless headset, the hearables, the roadmap for hearables is something that we are very excited to go ahead with that. But at the same time, we are also, in a way, balancing it with sort of things that people would find to be boring, not innovative, not adventurous. But so it's a mix of business and technology. So I think that's, to me, what I believe creates a sustainable business model. You will have exciting models and boring models, but as a whole, they work to sustain the business financially for the long term. Because I would not limit myself to a particular product, is because I think the beauty about our factory is the flexibility. Because I have SMT, I have molding, I have painting, I have assembly, I have tests, I have so many in-house process that virtually allows me to make almost any electronic product limited to its size. Our limit is the size. So I can't tomorrow go and make a laptop. That is out of the, like our molding machines, we are around the majority of the machines are between 80 to 180 tons. If you need a product that needs a 500-ton molding machine, that kind of size is actually not economical to us, because it means I have to invest in a new molding machine and things like that. But surprisingly, of course, I think fortunately, a lot of premium products are generally small size, small form factor, and small form factor product requires higher precision. So when products requires high precision, that's where we have the value. That's where customer appreciates us more. Whereas if a product that doesn't require precision, the customer will not then appreciate that. So of course there is also a certain target customer that we try to target for, that would appreciate this as an extra merit point, to be having the capability to do the product. So again, so it's a mix of a lot of things.
So when you talk about the wireless, so you had a term for it, the truly wireless. Truly wireless. Is that going to be? Are you expecting it to be a 30%, 40% kind of revenue mix, or is that going to be premium, or is there also going to be sliced to a few levels?
Oh no, I think it's very hard to keep slicing product pricing, So I think anything that's premium product is basically 100. That is at a retail store selling of $150 and above. I would just take that as one segment for our business purposes, So as long as a product is around that price range in the market, and that is the kind of product that demands our capability, then that is a good fit.
Okay.
So but at the same time, I think also we are also very excited whenever we have a chance to do projects that are different from what we normally do, so which is why any project that we have a few projects on hand that I cannot say much, that is out of this mouse and headset project as well. So I think and why we are able to do that is because I think we are so flexible internally with our processes, and that allows us to hopefully diversify the product range, because the general comment that everyone always have throughout the years, you're just a Bluetooth headset company, and I think that is what we are also trying to show to our shareholders and potential investors, that I think the Bluetooth headset has been blanketing what our potential can be, and then that's where we are also focusing, to diversify the kind of product that we do, so that, I think hopefully in the next 12 months, we will be able to show more of what we've been doing. Yeah.
Talking about that, there's a question here. They're asking, will you be producing hearing aids?
In the traditional sense, no, but there is a change to the hearing aid market. There is a gap between hearing aids and headsets. Let's put it that way, because again, I also try not to disclose too much confidential information in a call like this. But there is a gap, headsets and hearing aid. There's a big gap, and there's a very interesting market, a sizable market, and untapped market. Just for example, there are people with hearing difficulties that it's not serious enough to warrant wearing a hearing aid, but you do have trouble listening. So you want to be able to have help with your hearing, but you don't want to have the stigma of a hearing aid. So that's a very interesting market, but to be able to go into that, there's a lot of work, a lot of investment, a lot of hard work to go into that, which things are being in play, and which is why I say, I think to me, actually, before the MCO, I was actually pretty excited about 2020, so yeah, so I was actually very excited about 2020. There were so many things going on, and 24 hours was never enough, so I think now is basically about recovering from whatever impact that we may or may that we may have, which I think it's not significant. The business, I think, of course, financially we are okay. But I think what I'm most impressed about are my people that have basically, for the past few weeks, they have basically shown quite remarkable progress in how they are able to overcome the limitation of not going into the factory and still getting things done, to a certain extent, So I think to me, the way for businesses out of the MCO is how to be that flexible, and I mean, even us, we are not perfect, there's also a lot of things that need to keep changing every day and stuff like that, but I think the people makes a lot of difference in a crisis like this, and this is a time that I really felt very thankful for the people in my factory that we have right now.
Okay, I have 2 questions here, Joshua. First, I think I ask one first lah. What's the contribution of FOBO, because FOBO is your Bluetooth products division?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think that has always been a bit of a challenge for us. I mean, we do still continue to do the FOBO brand, but I think the FOBO brand has always been about 2% of the revenue, But even though it's 2% of the revenue, the profit margins for that product can range. It's about above 30. Actually, it's above 35% net profit margin for that product. So even though it contributes low to the revenue, but because of its potential in the margin, that we find that it's worthwhile to continue building a brand, because that building a brand itself takes years. So and we have actually, I mean, although it's not a huge part of the sale, but it has gotten very amazing feedback from end users, who actually are a lot of them are from from US, from Europe, who are impressed that a product like this is made and designed by Malaysians. In fact, the first time we launched FOBO, people think that they were buying the product from an American company and start asking us why I'm in US, why are you charging me international shipping? so I think, and especially as and in a way, there's a very steep learning curve when we first launched the product, There was a lot of understanding on when it's your own product, your own brand. There's a lot more to take care of rather than than just being an OEM or an ODM. But I think what happens is we have managed to also build the next generation of the product, and I mean, for me, I'm also quite a product geek guy. I mean, ever since young, and I understand that when you have a new product, a very novel product, the first product is always not the perfect product, but when you have something good going on in the product, you would normally see it matured after maybe the third or fourth iteration, where you get a very matured product. But nowadays we look at the iPhone and say, whoa, it's an amazing product. Okay, except for those who are not Apple fan, but if you are Apple lover, you will look at an Apple iPhone and say, whoa, it's such an amazing product, whoa, that's so amazing, they're able to do something so amazing like this. But have you ever thought about the first iPhone? The first iPhone could not even send MMS. That was how flawed the first iPhone was. But I think where it was is it has something good going on, and that's what I hope in our FOBO products, because I think that's what I see, that our FOBO product has something good going on in there, especially when the feedbacks that we get from our customers who are amazed with the product. So I think it's just that the challenge for our FOBO brand is the marketing, the branding, and building that is just as much of a challenge as building the product itself.
I mean, for listeners who are not aware, actually FOBO actually stands for our better world. So it actually implicates the value that Salutica has. And one of the key product is actually what we call as a TPMS, or a tire pressure management system. Mean to say you have 4 devices that is attached to your tire of your wheel, and you can actually monitor the tire pressure via a mobile phone. Of course, you're talking about those high-end cars, they have it, but you're talking about mass market car, where you don't have a system to monitor the tire pressure while they're driving. I mean, if you hit a nail, your tire there's a puncture, you wouldn't know.
Something like this.
So this is where that's what FOBO actually does.
All the 4 and I'm getting pressure right now. I'm sitting in my room and my car is parked out at the porch, so I'm getting.
So now we know Joshua's tire pressure is 216 on the left front and 213 on the right back. The only thing we didn't know is what model of car he's driving.
So
the second part of the question, Joshua, because I'm like an audio geek myself. And, I keep on searching and buying all these earphones, and of course you cannot beat the high-end hi-fi where you still have the wire, right?
Of course.
So the thing is that because until actually a few days ago when Peter Lim talked about Salutica, about your company, then only I've actually found out about your FOBO brand, right? I didn't know that we actually have one company in Malaysia producing this product, because I've been buying things like, like Bose, which is I mean, audio quality is not really there also, anyways, right? So the question is, how are we going to build this brand, right? So that people like myself, even the TPMS, I actually just got the TPMS from my bike, which I go and search, right? And it's always the China brand that comes out. What will your strategy be? I mean, to let people know that.
Because so I think number one, of course, we are not big. It's not like we have the resources to launch a $50 million ad campaign across the globe, and things like that. So I think what we have done is we have always kept the cost lean, and to grow it organically. So what we have done, and I think we are starting to see a bit of fruits from that, is that we started to build a very good relationship with distributors across the world, and actually a lot of all this distributor was like for over the years through cold calling, contacting people who are in the automotive industry. We actually go for trade shows and get contacts. So it was like after a period of 4 or 5 years now, we actually have a few, I would say, solid or consistent kind of purchase distributors across the globe, but although not in very high volume, but they are consistent and they have been with us for at least 4 years, 3 to 4 years, So I think that's the first step, the first step that I think we have sort of solidified the first step there. The other thing is, of course, I think we have also been trying to be more, I suppose, active on social media and things like that. But I mean, TPMS is not the most sexy product to sell on the internet, lah, But I think where we try to work with is actually with a lot of automotive distributor, and I think that is right now the main challenge to reach a critical mass, of a number of automotive distributor that we can have around the world, to create a consistent demand for the TPMS product. And of course, we have TPMS not just for cars or motorcycles. We actually also have it for heavy duty vehicles. In fact, our TPMS is actually used by one of the MRT feeder buses. So and then we also installed some for the public buses in Singapore as well. So I think we are also now trying to really get into the fleets, but the challenge right now for the fleets is a lot of them, they have telematics system, and that sort of requires an integration between our TPMS system with their telematics system. Thankfully, the whole system is designed ground up by my engineers. So basically, they are working with a few telematics company to try to integrate the communication between our TPMS system and their telematics system, because for heavy duty vehicles, I think that's a real lifesaver, because the potential of damage that a flat tire caused by a heavy duty vehicle, whether a lorry or a bus, is so much more immense compared to a motorcycle or a car. So and I think with a lot of companies that they own fleets, safety is of course top of their mind. So I think the what we experience is when you sell to a fleet owner, they already know that they need a TPMS system. It's just that they are looking for the right TPMS system for their fleet, compared to approaching a regular car or motorcycle user. You have an additional question of, why do I need a TPMS? So there is two kind of reaction with these two different customer group, but of course we service both. So we have a small dedicated team for FOBO who are basically continuously trying to grow this, and hopefully we see some results, further down the line. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I think we just launched the latest one, the FOBO Tire 2. So the sensors are much smaller compared to the first FOBO tire. The sensors are in fact the same size as the FOBO Bike 2. So these are sensors that are like half the size compared to the first generation sensor.
So do you get a set to try?
Send me your address. Yeah. Send you because and sometimes when we develop the new product, we need some testers. I mean, we'll be glad to work you in.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, not to be what my wife always just go in the car, just start the car and just drive on it. No need to check oil.
Yeah. No need to check.
Alvin.
Really useful,
Cass is watching the show.
Yeah, I know.
No, but I think there is actually a lot of it's such an important safety aspect of your vehicle, but it's almost like the least thought about thing, And then you think about it, you have a fuel gauge to tell you how much fuel you have. You have a speedometer to tell you how fast you are going, but you never wonder whether you have enough air in your tire, And then when you look at the danger comes from low tire pressure, not high. People always think, if my tire the pressure is too high, it'll explode, and that's how accidents happen. No, it's actually the other way around. It's actually the pressure is too low, and therefore it increases the friction between the tire and the road, and it causes the layers of tires to delaminate, and hence, or the sidewall grinding against the road, and basically that's how you get a puncture or a blowout.
Alvin, Cass just replied you. What you said is not true.
You know, but I think it's quite a different. I mean, we are able. I mean, when we started selling the TPMS system across the world, we really get to see the difference in the awareness of tire safety between different countries. You know, so it's quite it's quite eye-opening, you know, to sometimes come back to Malaysia and then you feel that, hey, you know, this is something so important, but you don't see people putting so much emphasis on it compared to other countries. You know, like even in United States itself, US has a law mandating TPMS to be installed in all cars. You know, so that's how serious these countries take, you know, tire pressure. Yeah.
Joshua, I'm so sorry. We are getting good feedback, a lot of questions, but now we're actually 9:20. So I really apologize.
Maybe one last question. Is there one last question, Benny? You want to pick one last question?
The last question always with Peter.
Oh, Peter.
I have this standard question. I mean, Joshua, you already know. I asked you many times.
Yep.
What can keep you awake at night?
What can keep me awake at night? Actually, I'm quite a late sleeper, you know. So I generally don't need coffee to stay awake at night. But I need coffee to get me up in the morning. So I'm actually a late sleeper and a late riser. But sometimes, you know, actually sometimes I feel like a shot of whiskey keeps me awake as well.
No, I think you know what kind of what sort of what keeps you awake at night regarding the business, you know? Is there anything?
Okay. I think at the end of the day, I think the interesting about our business is we were not the original owners of the company. You know, that we started. So our story started quite different from a lot of people. A lot of people is because they started the company, they founded the company. For us, is that we my father was actually the CEO of the company for many years, and then we did the management buyout. You know, and actually at that time when my dad bought over the company, the reason why he bought over the company was to preserve the jobs of the people in Ipoh. You know, because to have such a high-tech company in Ipoh is actually quite rare. You know, there's not many high-tech companies in Ipoh, and it's a waste that if talented people in Ipoh do not have a high-tech or high innovative company to work and develop their skills. And as for me, in fact, I mean, of course, I was the deputy CEO since 2018. I just become the CEO of Salutica since early March, right before the MCO. So to me, is number one is of course carrying on my father's legacy. You know, it's about preserving high-tech jobs in Ipoh, and at the same time, I think it's about you know, I mean, of course, the general business worry about where business will go. But for me, it's more of basically growing being able to sustain and grow a high-tech company in Ipoh. I think that is how to keep this momentum going on. You know, how to keep the innovation going on. You know, so you're always wondering whether is there something that you could have done better than before. So I think it's more about that. I mean, of course, there's 1,001 things that you could think about before you sleep, you know. But to me, it's all about the people, because we know the people in Salutica for so long. I mean, they are employees that have been with us for almost more than 20 years, you know. And so it's both business and the social responsibility as well. So it's like a two-in-one kind of cake that we have to keep it going in Ipoh. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Joshua.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Wrap it up. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Sure.
so much, Joshua. And for those who are still with us, you're gonna get access to our Equity Tracker online platform, which Alvin has just shown you. You can actually get the financials for public listed companies like Salutica. If you want to have more info, look at the financials, you can actually just go into our Equity Tracker platform. You can find out more about find out more about Salutica and other companies, right? And if you want to know more how to analyze this financial information, do join us in our Equities Tracker online campus. All right, to join the online campus where you'll be able to learn how to read financial information and also price charts and so on. Just join us. All you need to do is to do 100 ringgit pledge to a charity, which any charity that you want. Keep the receipt, and then because we'll be asking you for the receipt later on, right? And with the 100 ringgit, you can also bring 3 friends along. Okay, so you just go to charity.equitiestracker.com to participate in this, where you get to learn for free by donating to other people. All right, so it's charity.equitiestracker.com. And for the platform, there's Texas, or not Texas, no, it's WhatsApp. You can't SMS us. This number is only for WhatsApp. WhatsApp us at 603-8408-2070. All right. Okay, once again, Joshua, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I mean, because I hope that I'm not taking too much of your time also, because I tend to, talk too much.
No,
looking forward to testing your product.
Okay, sure.
We are looking forward to testing your product.
Okay, guys. See you guys soon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. See you.
Good night and have a good evening.
Okay, good night.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Bye.